I, for one, don't think Illuminaughtii is stupid. Shocker, I know, with everything she's been doing behind the scenes. I think she knows exactly what she's doing, though it's not guided by rationality and logic. It's pure anger.
You freaking pricks! When will you learn?
Throw enough mud on the wall, and some of it will stick.
Cheers!
Honestly, some of this behavior is really reminiscent of the Creepshow Art situation back in 2021. All we need now is Illuminaughtii to dox her own family and it's pretty much a wrap. Just kidding, there's a lot of components missing that really solidified Creepshow Art's cancellation. Mainly her, husband's accusations. Although Illuminati's alleged actions behind the scenes have been quite ill-mannered. It's nothing she can't come back from, at least as of now, if you ask me. Yet, this will forever be a stain on her character.
Disgusting!
If you're not already familiar with her, Illuminaughtii mainly covers multi-level marketing, pyramid and Ponzi schemes in these highly edited videos, more akin to documentaries. I personally always feel a little bit more knowledgeable after watching an Illuminaughtii video, though I suspect that's my own ego talking. If anything, I believe they're an excellent introduction to certain topics that would prompt someone to research it further, because at the end of the day, it's still entertainment and should not substitute actual academic work. It's impressive for what it is, which is weekly 25-minute videos. As a YouTuber, I can tell you right now that this would have been impossible to keep up with by yourself. You need to research and script, which takes multiple days if you're gonna be thorough. Then you gotta record, edit, and make a thumbnail. Now, don't get me wrong, being a YouTuber is truly a privilege. Not everyone is lucky enough to be their own boss and decide their own schedule, but depending entirely on what type of content you produce, it can actually be a lot of labor, and sometimes you gotta hire people to distribute tasks such as researchers, fact-checkers, scripters, editors, artists, and so forth. And as someone who was exploited by an older Minecraft YouTuber at the age of 15, I don't actually care whether she's just the voice as long as she's not mistreating anyone and paying her employees fairly. I don't know about wage theft specifically, but I think there's reason to doubt the work environment after former co-workers spoke out, even providing evidence of their mistreatment long after parting ways. The catalyst for all of this was, ironically enough, her own tweet. I'm just gonna let her tell the story from her perspective.
My editors came to me about how parts of a LegalEagle video looked similar to our videos. And then there were messages and an email from one of LegalEagle's editors asking for more information about how we do certain effects. I looked at the compared images that were brought to me and I said, wow, that does look pretty similar, and I impulsively posted about it on Twitter. Truthfully, I should have looked into this more instead of just putting the information out there the second I had a gut reaction about it. I should have asked him what the emails were about, but I didn't, and I made a mistake, and plain and simple, I was wrong.
That's a rather charitable retelling of events, so let's take a look at what these impulsive tweets actually look like. Not at LegalEagle editors broaching my editors to take my video's style, and when they didn't give up the info, they literally copied it, in parentheses. And by the way, I have the messages from my editors and found an email from them too. Just changed the color from purple to blue, huh? Interesting. So I went through my emails and found this just outright saying, yeah, I'm gonna do this, but if you could make it easier for me, I'd appreciate it. Example A being ripped paper and example B being a highlight over text. Now, let me tell you why this is stupid. It's a very common style of editing, and I'd be willing to bet it predates YouTube. If you're gonna be bold enough to claim ownership of these generic stylistic choices, then I expect you to have made those ripped paper PNGs by yourself. Cause if it was your unique idea straight from your brain mind head, then why would the assets be one Google search away? Who's using them? You? Just you? Why are they so publicly available then? And even if there's an alternate universe where Blair was the first person to have the big brain idea of highlighting text, who the f cares? Who the f cares if another YouTuber takes inspiration from it? Originality is dead. It's all been done before. So, unless you're copying a script word for word, then I don't give a flying f, bitch. And to be honest, I wouldn't have believed any of this was trying to replicate my video if not for the email and Discord stuff that was done preemptive to their video coming out. Like, talk about can I copy your homework? Yeah, just make it a little different. Shaking my head. To be completely honest, I don't actually care for this small incident in and of itself. It's petty, but I would brush it off as impulsivity. We all have bad ideas, and with Twitter you can broadcast it to all of your audience without a second thought. It happens. LegalEagle showed no interest in engaging with this drama and would rather attempt to de-escalate things while responding to the accusations, stating, "I think this is a big misunderstanding. Perhaps great minds think alike," and proceeded to thoroughly debunk it all. Almost any other YouTuber would have taken the opportunity to just slam dunk her, and maybe that's what she wanted. Whether it's to promote engagement or not, judging by what we've learned from her former friends and co-workers, she seems to get something out of poking the bear, and much like Icarus, she flew a little too close to the sun, which finally prompted former affiliates of hers to publicly distance themselves. Mainly former members of the now inactive collab channel known as 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒕.
Stop it.
Actually, I take that back. She flew a little too close to the sun years ago. But this time it's different. It's different because it affects people with million subs rather than Tommy C and Cruel Mind Happy World. No offense. YouTuber 𝒂𝒃𝒔𝒄𝒓 came out with a thread 23rd of April detailing his experience working with Blair. Blair being Illuminati, by the way. Which caused a ripple effect, encouraging more to come forth. Thread started out with, "Hey peeps, I have seen the recent drama regarding Illuminati and would like to clarify I am not affiliated with her and haven't been for over 2 years. I left her and her collaboration group, in parenthesis @milk, due to similar behavior as seen in the recent events." I'll put the links of all the threads in the description for those of you who want to read it all. In 𝒂𝒃's initial thread, he describes how Blair would lash out, stirred up rumors about him after he left, and curated comments to give the impression that most people were on her side, all while deleting any comments in support of him. They also used to suspect she was behind the resurgence of videos from when 𝒂𝒃 was a teenager using not so savory words. And he's 30 now, for your information, so yeah, it was a long time ago. Their theory was certainly proven to be true, which he provided evidence for in his later video. And I'm just gonna say it now, she paid someone $200 to sift through raw audio to find 𝒂𝒃 using the R slur.
Bruh.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. I don't use that word personally, but I don't think it's the end of the world if someone does. In my experience, it's an impossible standard to set for someone who isn't chronically online. Like, I'm not gonna start arguing with my friend's little brother at the dinner table.
When will you learn that your actions have consequences? This is a nightmare!
However, Blair, if you're listening to this, if you ever need someone to dig up dirt, My business email is 𝒊𝒌𝒆@gmail.com, and I prefer to use PayPal. Anyways, I hope no one else is listening to this. Hit me up if you need me. Yeah, let's keep this between the two of us. On top of that, they also believed she had spies in his Discord and even tried to gain control of his server. It's so childish, but also such a classical YouTuber move. The Minecraft YouTuber I worked for did very similar stuff and would turn us against each other. As an almost fully developed adult, it's embarrassing to look back at, but being 15 at the time, it felt very serious. It's not. Get over yourself. But also, why was a 21-year-old Minecraft YouTuber spying on us? A bunch of 15-year-olds? How are you gonna have beef with a bunch of 15-year-olds? I'll never get over that. Pay for my therapy. Wonderstruck was next to talk about his experience with 𝒂𝒏𝒕, vouching for the clique, even claiming that Blair would check the clique and one topic at a time social blade and stalk them day in and day out. This behavior would align with a lot of the drama she's gotten into throughout the years, but has long gone under the radar. It does seem like Wonder really got the short end of the stick since he moved states to live with her, which proved to be a nightmare that he had to get out of as quickly as possible. Quote, "And the details I can't get into further due to legalities, but I ended up with no car, hardly any clothes and money to my name, and no home. Now working full-time again, I had no time for my channel, I had cried, bled, and worked through hell to get up." Unquote. She addressed this in her absolutely disgusting video where she lied about the clique, twisting the truth to heavily imply him and one topic at a time are sympathizers, which is provably false by the way. Really just goes to show how she's willing to manipulate the situation to come out on top. And before I go on to talk about her video, Illuminati exposed. There's one last person involved with the 𝒂𝒏𝒕 situation whose thread I want to cover. Just a side note, if I ever start a collaboration channel, I should call it Happy Juice. It's the polar opposite of 𝒂𝒏𝒕, which, by my logic, should bring about good luck.
No, I don't think so.
Oz Media started out a thread with, "I think it's time that I actually speak out on the current Twitter threads regarding 𝒂𝒏𝒕 in 2020 and 2021. I cannot express how scared I am to do this, the fear I have in my guts to even speak out. However, I do feel it's important to say my piece on this subject matter." They attested to the previous claims before delving into their own experience as someone who moved in with her in April of 2021. Admittedly, he served as Blair's talking piece and if you ask me, seems to have been closer to her than anyone else. I think we can all relate in a sense that we often will take the side of our close friends without question. In their own words, "I had moved to Colorado, got a house, and lived with her at the time. She was in my life every day and I would hear those theories and villainous explanations directed at anyone who wronged her. It was hard to avoid, let alone not fall for them." Maybe you think it's a cop-out. At the end of the day, we should all be held responsible for our actions rather than pointing the finger and going, "The devil made me do it! I was a mere vessel for Satan himself!"
Why am I still getting hate?
I was gonna say that he's old enough to know better, cause I assumed he was around the same age as Blair, that being 30. But nah man, I just looked it up. Dude's 23! He's only 1 year older than me and would have moved in with Blair when they were...
What's 9 plus 10?
21.
Jeez, you're just a kid. Imagine being 28 and using some 21-year-old to confront people for you, like, pfft, grow up man, grow up!
No, I don't think so.
Illuminaughtii uploaded her mess of a video addressing the drama 28th of April 2023. He starts out with,
To be perfectly honest, I'm feeling pretty vulnerable to have this conversation with so many people and so publicly, especially since some of the things that I'm going to talk about today are really personal and things in my private life that should have never become content fodder.
Which I find very ironic, since she's the one who's working behind the scenes to ruin others' reputation, as you're about to find out. And to top it all off, she felt so inclined to include Wonder's potential suicide note in what I can only assume is an attempt to paint him as a total wreck. Funny. Very funny, because I'm willing to bet a lot of these people have seen her at her lowest of moments that she wouldn't want anyone to know about, yet she doesn't have the decency to keep someone's mental health struggle out of a conversation that has nothing to do with it.
That I'm gonna get attacked, which is illegal in Canada. Just saying.
Fast forward past the accusations of plagiarism, which I wasn't too interested in. Don't get me wrong, it's serious stuff. I just personally don't give a shit. Maybe this is just me, but I think plagiarism is small fry next to creating alt accounts to harass former friends and accusing them of enabling pedo. But that's just me, maybe I'm just quirky like that, teehee. Period. Listen, I know I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, so I could be mistaken, that happens sometimes. Probably misinterpreting something, cause there's no way Blair would be this stupid. But what she's saying doesn't really align with the supposed proof. And maybe that's on purpose, maybe she's playing 5D chess with her soul because she knows most people aren't gonna put the effort into actually reading what's on screen, they're just gonna take her word for it.
When it was time to pay the editors, I wasn't answered or told that they would just get it to me later. I had to do this at various points with a vast majority of the members of the group.
Pause to read the entire interaction for yourself, but yeah, I have no experience paying editors, etc. And I can totally understand the frustration she might feel, but as the click stated, reached the credit limit, had a bunch of outgoing stuff for the company, and Sad Milk fell on the wrong side. It will transfer as soon as I checked off the outstanding stuff when I get the paperwork in a couple of days. Sorry for the delay. Hey man, so I understand to you that Sad Milk's finances are on the back burner for you, but unfortunately that's not the case for me. The reason for that is that every time someone does not pay their bill, I am the one who fronts that money, etc, etc. The click did transfer money from his personal account instead and addressed the situation/allegations on Twitter in a second thread. I didn't pay for editors. For context, I was just a few weeks into YouTube and was drowning in paperwork since I had just set up my company. My company card got declined for a $400 payment to her for editor's cost. When she sent me a reminder, I paid her from my personal account to ensure she didn't get the wrong idea, which is more expensive as you pay with net salary instead of gross revenue. Odd thing to bring up, as it was resolved quite smoothly. I don't blame her for her initial reaction like, yeah, it's a massive inconvenience. But why would you hold this against someone in a video when it's obviously beyond the click's control? If it was a regular occurrence, then surely you'd have more receipts than this. Right? Right, Blair? Right? Show us the receipts.
Electric chair.
Illuminaughtii left me even more baffled when she addressed the theory that she's behind the resurgence of the click's old videos using slurs.
The click brings up how, as he puts it, a very convenient series of videos resurfaced with him saying some not so savory things after he left Sad Milk. His old videos, as he puts it, aged like milk. They did. I'm not going to dive into it further. The information's out there if you so choose to look. And as Click stated, those videos are 11 to 14 years old. And to be perfectly clear here, those videos are not any of the reasons as to why we split ways in Sad Milk, as Click tries to insinuate. Even back in 2020, I had stated that those videos had nothing to do with the ending of Sad Milk. I was actually unaware of those videos at the time of our friendship, but had I been aware of them, that friendship would have likely ended sooner.
What they did to me and the channel was cruel. I am not friends with them. Click saying the N-word, R-slur and F-slur had nothing to do with why they left. And if I had seen these videos sooner, It most certainly would have been a reason. That is disgusting, and I am happy that I am no longer friends. I'm not sure how this post proves she wasn't behind any of it. If anything, it really shows us she held a grudge against these people. A grudge strong enough to pay someone $200 to sift through raw audio looking for the click, supposedly using the R slur. Gasp. Ah, I can't believe you've done this. The click. It's also contradictory for her to claim she would have cut them off sooner if she would have only known the click used such abhorrent language. When only seconds later she says her and Oz Media had talked about the click using the R slur while playing games.
Unfortunately, when those videos surfaced, it wasn't really all that shocking to me, as Oz Media and I had actually talked about how 𝒄𝒏𝒄𝒄 had been using the R slur while we played games together. I thought, or I wanted to assume, that I had misheard, but Oz said that he was uncomfortable with it and said something, but the language continued. 𝒄𝒏𝒄, you are right. Those videos in question are old, and at this point, they're kind of irrelevant. People can learn and people can change. That being said, at the time in 2020, 𝒄𝒏𝒄 was still using horrifying language and slurs that have long been deemed unacceptable.
𝒄𝒏𝒄 even asked Oz about Blair's claims, and he had this to say.
The only evidence she ever gave us was, by her word, claiming that when the two of you were playing Dark Souls 3, you referred to enemies or shadows or ash as endlets, or something along the lines of that in December of 2019. This was not brought up until after 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒃 split.
I heard the 𝒄𝒏𝒄 use slurs in private, but also, if I would have known he used slurs, I would have never associated with such a heinous person.
Which I don't have a problem with the word R, but she does for some reason, even though she uses it in private.
This is like the very definition of taking the moral high ground. She doesn't actually care for the R slur, she just wants to condemn the 𝒄𝒏𝒄. Once again, Blair, if you're watching this, I take PayPal, DM me. That being said, though there's strong evidence to suggest Blair at the very least partook in digging up dirt on the 𝒄𝒏𝒄, we can't say with 100% certainty that she's the main perpetrator. For all we know, she could have just been fanning the flames. Though I don't blame you if you're convinced, since the 𝒄𝒏𝒄 also manages to prove that she used alt accounts to spread hate, so seems likely.
And she says 16 seconds, the alt account is gonna love this. In the next screenshot, you can see her writing out a draft. I saw in the 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒄 announcement of all the milkmen. Now I'm seeing the comments. We all agree it's obviously not on good terms. Blair tweeting about being stabbed in the back, etc., etc. This draft matches with one of the posts made by an alt account called 𝗬𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒄𝒄 on Reddit, and this is the entirety of the post. This is the truth about 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒄. It really looks like creative differences is dumb AF. Blair tweeting about being stabbed in the back, one topic, leaving his supporter server, and then so on and so forth. And I was a big fan of the 𝒄𝒏𝒄. I thought his streams were great, blah, blah, blah. But then I think Blair saw some of his streams. He did a stream where he watched some of his old videos. So this is actually Blair on an alt account making the claims that Blair must have seen some of his old videos randomly. She totally wasn't paying people to dig up dirt. This is her on an alt account, spreading misinformation and trying to enhance her own image.
Listen, I know it might not seem so right now, but Blair is a smart woman. If we've learned anything from Creepshow Art, it's that you shouldn't talk shit about former friends through anonymous forums nor sock puppet accounts. Why am I even saying that? We shouldn't even need someone to be made an example, like, it should just be common sense. Don't go saying things you wouldn't say with your name attached to it. But there's a reason they don't want to be associated with these claims. It's because they know it holds no water. But they're angry and will try to justify these feelings to themselves and anyone who will listen. If Illuminaughtii truly believed any of this, she would have said it in public much sooner. Her audience is big enough that if she actually had a valid point, it wouldn't be drowned out by the 𝒄𝒏𝒄 and one topic at a time's fans. But she didn't. Instead, she made exaggerated posts on alt accounts in a desperate attempt to stir up drama. Like I said, throw enough mud on the wall and some of it will stick, even if it's a blatant lie. This brings me to the very serious claims she made regarding painting a picture of groomers running rampant in 𝒄𝒐𝒎𝒎𝒆𝒏𝒕 server, 𝒂𝒐𝒴𝒄𝒓𝒊𝒃𝒆 if you will, come get your child. I'm kidding, but let me preface this with a reminder that is a massive problem over on Discord, and one of the reasons I haven't started my own Discord server. This kind of drama is par for the course, and I'm not mentally stable enough to deal with it. As a lot of you know, moderators aren't paid. They're mostly active members of the community that do volunteer work. Sometimes they overlap with other communities, like in this situation, the 𝒂𝒃 and Blur happened to share some during the creation of Sad Milk. In 𝒂𝒃's original thread, he said, "She tried to gain control of my Discord when it surpassed hers in size by tossing around accusations at staff and trying to get rid of my team and replacing it with hers, giving me the ultimatum to fire my entire senior team or be publicly fired from Sad Milk myself." And we were even worried talking in our own Discords as it became apparent she had spies within our moderation ranks.
The 𝒄𝒃 and I had shared Discord moderators around the time of Sad Milk being created. Due to the 𝒄𝒃's inaction, our shared moderators had brought a situation in his server to my attention. A situation involving pedophilia. In 𝒄𝒃's Discord, there was a 19-year-old bragging about a 12-year-old that he was claiming to be involved with. A moderator reached out to get more information on this situation. This 19-year-old then reiterates, and I am directly quoting this here, "I talked with my therapist about it, even too, and he told me as long as I don't touch her, it's okay." 𝒄𝒃 and his team did not pursue any immediate action to ban, restrict, or report this individual. So those shared mods came to me, and they told me that they were uncomfortable. I went to contact 𝒄𝒃 to see what was going on, and it was mainly because I didn't want to believe that he would blow off someone clearly discussing such an inappropriate relationship. In fact, this was right off the heels of one of his admins sharing graphic content to people that they knew were minors.
If you're made aware that an adult is behaving inappropriately towards or around a minor and you choose to do nothing about it, you're co-signing that behavior, making you partly responsible for any harm done to that child. Which is completely irrelevant because that's not what happened.
In the allegations against me, it is claimed that I didn't react or respond to the situation. Number 1, being at sleep at 2 a.m. detail was completely left out. 2, the fact that he was actually banned before this whole thing was left out. And 3, a receipt of Illuminati reaching out to me to get me to respond wasn't shown in her video or allegations. And the reason for this is that it doesn't exist. The person who reached out to resolve this was actually myself. As for the staff member sharing inappropriate artwork in Discord, this happened about 5 weeks prior, so I'm not sure why it's being tied into all this, but I can say from experience with running Discord servers that it happens every few months that a staff member misbehaves and is removed from the team.
And to make matters worse, her retelling of events, branded one topic at a time as a apologist too, by associating with someone who supposedly doesn't see a problem with Oh, how convenient that Blair's opponents all happen to be intrinsically evil. She's always right, and anyone who even dares question the Illuminati probably supports eating babies and stomps on homeless puppies or something. I don't know. As for her spying on his Discord, here's her with a screenshot of the 𝒄𝒃's conversation with his mods.
She's just spying on private conversation I'm having with my 7 mods.
These accusations, or implications rather, along with the alt accounts, of course, was the nail in the coffin. From what I've seen, there's not sufficient evidence to prove she's not actually paying her workers. It could very well be true, and if it is, then damn, that would probably be the scandal of the year since her entire brand is calling out scams while scamming everyone around her. That'd be quite ironic and a little bit funny. Unfortunate for her employees, but funny to me. Sorry. One thing is for certain though, and that is that she's a total douche behind the scenes. Whoop-dee-doo, a YouTuber who's an entitled unheard of.
Which is illegal in Canada. Just saying.
Last but not least, I would like to at least acknowledge Wonder's experience a bit more. As of me recording this, There's not a lot of receipts out there, but it's rather he said, she said, which makes this tricky because I want to stick to the facts. Wonder claimed she was a nightmare to live with, and some of his main claims were that he ended up with no car, hardly any clothes, no money, and no home, after making the innocent mistake of befriending the wrong people. Deliberate or not, Blair found herself in the perfect position to deflect everything without actually addressing the real issues.
Well, I gave Wonder a job. I let him live in our house rent-free. I paid for a good portion of his new car.
All of that is nice and all, but I'm petty and I need her to pay for this.
I would like to point out that a common tactic for abusers who are attempting to children is that they expose them to and other sexual content in an attempt to desensitize the child. I'll provide Rain's page on grooming for further information. And if you're a child currently in a similar situation, I urge you to speak to a trusted adult or authorities. And again, resources will be provided below.
A common tactic of abusers is to isolate their victims through financial means. If they're financially dependent on their abuser, it will make it much harder to get out of that situation, or even realize they're being abused in the first place. I will provide a link to Kiss My F***ing Ass in the description below. If you're the victim of an entitled YouTuber, please reach out. You're not alone. Although I don't know whether the term abuse would apply to this situation, I just wanted to give her a dose of her own medicine, and yeah, those are all nice gestures, but that doesn't negate Wonder's bad experience. At the same time, you've trapped him in an uneven power dynamic where you hold all the cards as a contractor, landlord, and car renter. Admittedly, the state of the car when Blair repossessed it made Wonder look pretty bad, as there was a huge crack across the windshield, the glove box compartment was broken, and there was trash and litter inside. He addressed this in a tweet longer, which I'll link in the description, suck my nuts, quote. As for the car, the contract was not legally binding. I had an ex-police officer, a former contract maker, and lawyer look over it. It is a fluff contract. I did have insurance. The car never resided in Austin, Texas. I was not living there. My address had been changed to Colorado Springs. I had discussed with Oz, due to Blair and I not being on speaking terms, about returning the car. When I asked to see what I was legally bound to, I never received an answer. Blair then, in the dead of night, came to my father's home and revoked the car along with all of my possessions inside of it. The car was a mess due to me living in it. The windshield was cracked when a semi-truck kicked up a rock into it. I went by the BMW dealership and they said I could bring it back later that week and they could fix it no problem. I was there due to blowing a flat. Blair has this record. I would not have returned the car in that state, and I never intended to. Blair revoked the car because she knew I was not legally bound to it. Of course, there's a whole lot more to this story, though I don't really think I have much more to add. Blair is back to posting regularly, so it's gonna be interesting to find if she actually gets away with it. I wish I could have gotten this video out much sooner, and I was actually planning to, but I made an absolutely terrible decision 3 days in a row. Like, it was genuinely crazy, and I would tell you, but my sister watches my videos, so sorry. Feel free to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. You'll find all the links to my social media in the description below. If you want a new profile picture drawn by the one and only Muggen Mylle, you'll find my commission sheets in my pinned tweet. Just slide into my DMs. I'm waiting. They're open. They're open and waiting for you. That's about all. Take care. Hope you're having a good day. Don't do drugs. Bye!